Have you ever done an amazing deed that had an ulterior motive? I worked the night shift at a grocery store. My manager was this guy named Tony. Everyone loved him. Upper management thought he was great because the numbers looked good and nobody complained. At least not officially. But Tony was a nightmare. He'd make these little comments that didn't sound bad if you repeated them out loud, but they'd sit in your stomach like rotten food. He'd text the younger girls on staff at weird hours asking if they needed rides home. He'd schedule people to close alone with him and then stand way too close while they counted their registers. And if you upset him, your hours got cut. Simple as that. I'd been there 2 years and learned to keep my head down. But there was this girl named Ivy who started 6 months before everything happened. She was maybe 19, really quiet, always apologizing for things that weren't her fault. She'd jump if someone dropped something behind her. I noticed the bruises first, one on her wrist, then her neck. She wore a scarf in July. When I asked if she was okay, she'd say she was clumsy or that she fell getting out of the shower. The same excuses every time. Tony noticed her too, started scheduling her for more shifts, late ones. He'd lean over her shoulder when she was stocking shelves and whisper corrections that made her freeze up. I saw him touch her lower back once when she was reaching for something on a high shelf. She didn't say anything, just finished stocking and disappeared into the bathroom for 20 minutes. I tried talking to HR once about Tony, not even about Ivy, just about how he treated people in general. The district manager smiled and said Tony had been with the company for 8 years and had excellent reviews. She said maybe I was stressed from working nights. That was it. One Tuesday around midnight, Ivy came up to me while I was facing cereal boxes. Her hands were shaking. She asked if she could talk to me outside during break. We sat on the curb by the dumpsters, and she just started crying. Not loud, just tears running down her face while she stared at the parking lot. She told me her ex knew where she worked, that he'd been waiting in his car across the street the last 3 nights, that he'd followed her home twice and she was afraid to go back to her apartment. She asked if she could stay at my place, just for 1 night. I said yes. That night turned into a week, then 2. I gave her the pull-out couch in my living room, made her coffee in the mornings, bought her a cheap phone from the gas station so her ex couldn't track her old number. She cried a lot those first few days, called me an angel, said she didn't know what she'd do without me, and I meant it when I helped her. I really did. But I'd be lying if I said that was the only reason, because I'd been watching Tony for months. I had screenshots of the group chat where he'd message Ivy asking why she looked upset, or if she wanted to talk after her shift. I had dates and times written down of when he'd schedule her alone. I'd recorded him on my phone once making a comment about her jeans being tight. Nothing that sounded that bad on its own, but altogether it was a pattern. The problem was HR didn't care about patterns from me. I was just a night shift stalker with no proof that would stick. They'd already brushed me off once, but a homeless 19-year-old girl with an abusive ex and a manager who wouldn't leave her alone? That was a different story. I started coaching Ivy, not obviously, just asking questions about work, about Tony. She'd mention things he said or did, and I'd write them down later. I told her she should probably report it to HR since she was going through so much already and didn't need extra stress at work. She trusted me completely by then. When she finally went to HR, I went with her. Brought printed screenshots, brought my notes, brought recordings. Ivy sat there shaking while I laid it all out for the district manager. How Tony targeted young women. How he made Ivy uncomfortable during a time when she was already scared. How the company was liable if something happened and they'd ignored it. The district manager's face changed. This wasn't just me complaining anymore. This was a girl in real danger with documentation and a witness. Tony was suspended the next day. Fired 2 weeks later. Ivy got transferred to a morning shift at a store near where I lived so she didn't have to go back to her old neighborhood. She hugged me and cried and said I saved her life.